And welcome in Savannah, Region 4A3 action. I am Coach Gene Clemens, and I have a dynamic trio of gentlemen here representing the basketball teams at Islands High School, at Jenkins High School, and at New Hampstead High School. We're going to have a really great conversation today. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Dr. Williams on from Benedictine, but we obviously wish them nothing but the best as they get ready for the tournament as well. But joining me right now, Coach Hines from Jenkins High School. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And from New Hampstead High School, new to the area, just like I am, Coach Williams. Coach Williams, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you all know him, you all love him, you all love to hate him, one of the two. Coach Demasi from Islands High School. Coach Demasi, thank you for joining us.
Hey, always a pleasure to talk sports, local sports all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. How is it to have when you've got the tables turned on you a little bit and you're the one answering the questions instead of asking them?
Hey, if you want to talk sports, I don't care whether I'm asking the questions, getting the questions. It's always a lot of fun. So, I never did it from this end with the program you're using. It looks pretty good. I'm always on the other end like you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I noticed the Tampa Bay Rays shirt. You got a little affinity for the Rays down there?
Hey, if I get it for Christmas or I get it from my in-laws who live in Tampa Bay, I'll wear it. So, no, I like the Devil Rays. The Devil Rays, everybody calls them the Rays. I'm still stuck with the Devil Rays, just like Tampa Bay Bucks. So, if you give me a shirt, there's one shirt I won't wear, guys. Boston Red Sox.
Boston Red Sox shirt. That's me too. Like, I'm a Yankees fan. You would not catch me wearing a Boston Red Sox shirt or Red Sox hat. I refuse to do so. And all of my New England friends know it, and they tease me all the time and try to give me Red Sox stuff. And I'm like, I'm just going to burn this, right? You might want to take it back. Definitely wanted to be able to get started. We know that the region tournament opens up here in earnest the next few days. You guys know each other pretty well. I personally think, because I've seen all of you play, I don't think there's really a first seed or a fourth seed. I think anybody could beat anyone on any given night. And so I think from that standpoint, it's going to be a really exciting tournament because no one really knows what's going to happen when we come out of here. One of the things that I wanted to start with, though, is it's been a very interesting year as far as trying to deal with COVID and all of the different obstacles that have come. Coach Demasi, I'll start with you. What's been something that you had to adjust to or overcome dealing with COVID and the restrictions that have been put in place?
Basically, it's just, keeping track of the kids, trying to make sure they're doing the right thing. I've been doing this a long time, 36 years coaching basketball on every level you can think of, even up to college level. You never had to worry about that extra health issue. I mean, we had to worry about the flu. We had to worry about kids getting hurt, but never that, that you could be standing next to somebody within 15 minutes, within 6 feet, you can catch the COVID-19 virus. And that's been the biggest part. That's been the biggest issue. I've been asked questions about what about coaching during a game? Hey, once they blow that whistle, and these two guys can tell you, I don't hear anybody in the stands. I don't see anybody in the stands. I'm watching what's going on between the out of bounds, the sidelines, and the biggest thing has been trying to get the kids to understand that this might be your last game, your last practice. You got to take care of yourself. You got to mask up. You got to social distance. You got to wash those hands. That's been the biggest issue that has changed the whole season around. And then, of course, when you play somebody, you always got in the back of your mind, is somebody on the other team got COVID-19? Well, it hit us early in the season. We were quarantined for 14 days because the team we played had a player on the court, played almost 3/4 of the game. So, and these guys could tell you, I don't go very deep. So everybody that got in the game had to be quarantined for 14 days back then in November. So, yeah, I've been affected by that too. So dealing with that issue is the biggest issue this year.
Coach Williams, how about you? What's something that you think you've dealt with that's unique to this year in dealing with COVID-19?
I think the biggest thing is with me being a new coach, getting the job in April. You usually get to have, an off season, whole summer, and then plus fall league if you let your guys participate in fall league. But due to COVID and all the restrictions that we were under, I probably met half of my team the day of trials. The numbers were down for trials, whether kids, didn't know about it or parents decided not to let them play. And like Coach was saying, there's also dealing with being quarantined. It was kind of surreal to get a call on a Friday evening at 11:30 saying that a team that you had a kid that was on their team test positive. You always preach to your kids that the season can be over with at any moment, be last practice, but when it actually hits you and you have to quarantine, it really gets real then. So just not having all season of scrimmage games and trying to learn kids as we go along during games and seeing flaws that you never had show up in drills and stuff. It's been hard to navigate that situation, especially with me being new. I know these guys have dealt with it also, but to not know any of your players and then not be able to have any contact with them really made it real difficult.
Absolutely. And Coach Himes, same question for you. You're not new to the area, but new to the team. And what were some things that you had to deal with?
Just like Coach Williams had to deal with me coming from the middle school level. I've coached high school basketball some years ago with Johnson. And, first thing is trying to establish a new culture and not being able to be with the kids and to understand how these guys have been playing for the last couple of years. And then myself, I haven't really been watching the game as following as closely as I should. But, we had quarantine just recently, and that kind of affected the way our season ended. We've been playing basketball. This will be our third game pretty much in a row because we missed some games that were vital to seeding in the tournament. But yes, it's been a real hard for us guys. Me as well, because when we was on quarantine, I'm worrying about if any of my kids catch it. And I'm talking closely with parents. The parents are saying, "Coach, what's the next step?" And I have to tell them how this operation goes and the procedures that go along with it and how things are supposed to be done, like the testing. And myself had to close down my house. My wife teaches over at Johnson, so she had a quarantine at home. My baby, I got a 3-year-old, and we had to get her tested, myself tested, and my other daughter tested. We all got tested. Luckily, with God willing, we all came back negative, and we didn't have any cases with the players either. So it's been a real rough year. One thing I really wanted to establish was, coming in as a first year head coach at Jenkins was to build that fan base and fill those stands up. This year here we weren't able to complete that task. We having to compile guest lists for every game. That's very strenuous to go along with game planning for your next opponent.
Absolutely. And all of you are new coaches at these schools. And so it's probably been kind of a thing where all of you have had to adjust to that type of new atmosphere, but also get to learn more about players that maybe you weren't either familiar with on an intimate level or that you just didn't know about at all. And from that standpoint, the next two questions, my first one, talk about some of your outstanding upperclassmen, those seniors and juniors that have really made your team go this year. Coach Hines, why don't you start us off?
First of all, I talk about Charles William III. He's first team All Region last year, and he has been amazing. His ability to get to the rim, his quickness. He's been a leader on the floor. He's been a leader in practice. He also been a leader after practice. Getting together with some of these guys, talking to these guys. Keeping their heads up. Him and Jarrell Floyd. Floyd has been like lights out this year here. He's a very quiet ball player. People will not even know how good he is because his points are not loud. They're very, very quiet. They're very quiet points. And within a few minutes, you'll say, wow, this kid got 30 points. When did that happen? Because the way he plays. But having those two gentlemen on the team, these players had three. I'm their third head coach, and three different philosophies is real difficult for guys to adjust to, and these guys were able to, we had some typical growing pains, but we was able to come together as one. And these seniors have been, doing the things they're supposed to do as seniors. I had other seniors like TJ Reed and Ray Allen, Gerard Finney, Antoinette McGirt. The only thing with McGirt, Finney, and TJ, I was their middle school coaches. I coached TJ and Gerard at Isla Hope, and I coached Antoinette at Myers Middle School. So they kind of already knew my philosophy, so it was easy for them to adjust. But for the other guys, adjusting to my style it's difficult at the beginning, but now these guys are starting to understand and starting to trust. So hopefully everything will pan out throughout the tournament.
Absolutely. Coach Williams, what about you?
Start off talking about DeAndre Smart. DeAndre actually was on my interview panel, so we, have a close connection. He's a natural leader. And plays extremely hard. Hits the glass hard. Runs the floor really well. He's starting to garner some college attention here lately with some offers he's picked up from Young Harris and UVA Wise. And then I have Alarius Wall. Alarius Wall is one of the most talented kids that I've been around as far as putting the ball in the bucket. Another kid who brings it every night, plays extremely hard. But just my seniors as a whole have really gotten me through this, like I said, season of COVID, and just, trying to help me change that culture. We got guys like Bryson Nunn, Mike Hayes, Malachi Scott, so those guys have really, really helped me out as far as bridging the gap between, the older players and the younger guys. And I got some younger guys that I'm really excited about. Toriano Baez is a junior. Paulie Seeley is a sophomore that I'm really excited about. So I think that those guys just playing really hard. And like Coach was saying, it's just difficult when you're a new coach coming in and try to change the culture and put your style in, and we really had some growing pains early in the season. I know a record doesn't look like it, but we still trying to find out who we are. Like every day is a different challenge, man. And one thing I've seen with these kids doing COVID, it's difficult for them to play back-to-back good games, because you didn't have that time in order to get them all on the same page. So you have two or three of them play really well, and then those two or three that play well, they'll play bad the next game. So I think they're just trying to, help bridge that gap and create that culture is what those seniors have really been helping me out with, because they, typically you get some kids you inherit, you may run into some issues with behavior and attitude, but these kids have been really good with that.
Absolutely. And Coach Demasi, how about you?
Well, I'm not a new coach. I'm an old coach that had the Islands program before I left for health reasons. So getting it back to the culture that what it was before I left, and I know Terry can tell you, that's been the biggest struggle for me. 2 years out, these boys have been under other leadership, and I have two boys that are seniors now, Freddie Brown and Jaden Adams, who were freshmen when my last season at Islands was because of health issues, getting back into the game. I never said I retired, so the opportunity came back. So Freddie Brown and Jaden Adams, they know what I'm all about, and that's been the biggest thing. I'm old school. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to demand that you do the right thing, be at the right place at the right time, be on time, and just do what you're supposed to do. And this new culture of young men that play the game of basketball, they don't understand when a coach gives you constructive criticism that it's not that he doesn't like you. He's trying to make you better. And I tell the kids, if I'm not talking to you, you need to be worried about it. All right. And that's been the biggest tough. But Jaden Adams and Freddie Brown have done a great job. And then I lost another player who was with me. There were three. I forgot about Hollis. Maxwell Hollis, he came down with mono, not even COVID-19. And he was a big guy off the bench that I could count on to give my bigs some rest, which I couldn't do for a long time, for almost 6 weeks. So that hurt us. Then, of course, I got another guy, Trey McKenzie, who started out as a freshman with me but never finished the season out. He came, hadn't played basketball in 2 years. He's back. Very good outside shooter. Learning the game. He's I've been relying on him coming off the bench as helping my guards out. So, I'm relying on Freddie Brown and a freshman, Jordan Cave, who's going to be unbelievable. His brother set the school scoring record, over 1,500 points, and that was Justin Cave. He's going to be even better than him. So, the kids have to buy into the system, and that's been the biggest struggle. They're not buying into the system. It's all about me. When am I going to play? When I'm not going to play? And that's been the culture that I have to turn around again at Islands High School. When I got there, I started out my first 2 years, we won one game because I had to change the culture back then, and it started getting better. But that's been the biggest problem with me. And as Terry says, and as Coach Williams says, they got to learn our style, and that's been the biggest problem. And it's not like the kids don't know me. These kids didn't know me at Islands High School, but getting to know who the coach is a big difference. I'm never going to berate them. I'm never going to belittle them. I'm going to tell them like it is, though.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things you see now with coaching is when you come to a program or when you take back over a program, in your case, having people to understand that this is your vision and what you believe needs to be done, and not just what they think is supposed to be. And sometimes those things conflict, and obviously, the best deodorant is winning. But really it comes down to, standing on whatever your established principles are about how you coach. So you talked some about your veteran kids. Just want to talk a little bit about those up and coming kids, and Coach Williams and Coach Demasi have already started to hint about some of those young guys that are coming. I've seen both of them play. I think both of them are going to be really good. Coach Hines, let's start with you. What are some of the young surprises that you're really looking forward to working with over the next few years?
I have to start off with Jeremiah James. We call him JJ. This kid has been becoming a man right in front of my eyes. Just this past weekend, he hit a clutch three-pointer shot that helped send the game overtime against BC and to help us get us that win. He was close to getting a double-double in that game. He was on the boards. He's starting to get more comfortable with the game. And I think in the upcoming years, he's going to get tall. He's about 6'2", 6'3" right now. I think he's going to get bigger and he's going to get stronger, and his IQ is starting to rise at the same time. He's starting to really understand the transformation from middle school basketball to high school basketball. And he has a huge upside. And also with him, I have a sophomore, Tivion Gaston, and everyone probably seen this big kid in the middle. He's about 6'5", 220, 230. He's a big kid, and he's, again, learning how to play the game of basketball. Now he's starting to turn on because it's becoming a little easier for him. At the beginning, he was trying to really figure out what I was trying to do, but now he's trusting the system. It's just, again, teaching him the basic fundamentals of the game. And, as coaches, I know both coaches know that with these young guys, it's that me era. Everybody is already arrived, and I'm not understanding that you have a lot of work to do to get to where you need to get to. You have some anomalies that can come on and just show out, but for the most part, these young guys have to learn as they go.
Absolutely. Coach Williams, what about you? Young guys that you're really interested to see grow over the next few years?
I got some guys right now, they're getting significant time. Like every team that I've coached, I've always wanted to make sure I try to, get those young guys some experience, in-game experience. Torion Bias, point guard that came out of the football field, has really helped us. Paulie Sealy, starting quarterback on the football team. He's only a sophomore. I got a kid, Darian Sewell, transferred in from North Carolina, like I said. Mom just sends me an email, shot in the dark one day and said, "Hey, coach, win his trials." And the kid came out and actually was pretty decent, but then kept working hard in practice, and he's actually starting for us now. Antonio Wright, he's been in and out of the starting lineup. He's going to be a really good player, just one of those kids that just really needs an off season. I had another young kid, 10th grade, that I'm excited about. Hasn't gotten much game experience, but battles every day in practice, Gabe Austin. So I'm really excited about him. Then we got a couple other fellas, Quadon Phillips and Richard Law, that we're excited about. Those guys just really bring it and work really hard in practice, and they get to mix it up. Like I said, one of the guys like Larry's Wall, that's really talented. So I always tell them, if you can stay in front of that kid, you can stay in front of anybody. So these kids have been really, really, really working, and I know the other two coaches on here are praying that we have somewhat of an off season, so that we can, develop these kids, because that's really when, games are won when you can have that off season and, create that bond. And I think that, I have two outstanding assistant coaches, Jalen Flowers and Coach Jason Austin. And they really helped me build that relationship with the kids because they knew a lot of the kids and I didn't. So they've been just important and more important than, some of these young kids that we had and bringing them along with that relationship they already had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coach Tomasi, what about you?
I'll make it short and sweet. These guys can tell you, Jeremiah, Gabriel, number 2, he's a junior. Russell Wright, he's only a junior. 2 other guys coming off the bench are juniors, Jalen Harris and Tavare Bruton. I got to get these guys to form a bond. I got to get them to stick together and play the game together. So I'm going to be counting on a lot of experience because these guys get most of the playing time. Of course, I told you Jordan Cave, he's only a freshman, but when you got other teams taking a freshman out of the game, playing boxing one or just playing a defense, man-to-man defense, don't let him get the back. This kid's a special kid. He's still young. He's got to grow. He's got to get bigger, faster, and stronger. But when he does, this kid's going to be lights out. He's still learning how to create on his own. He's still learning how to move with the basketball. So coming from middle school, it's a big difference. So he's learning the speed of the game. Then, of course, I got a 10th grader that can shoot the lights out of the ball, but it hasn't got very, very much playing time. That's Sandler Dennis. Sandler's been a pleasure to have. So, as the other 2 coaches, I only had 14 kids come out for the program this year. When I left back 2 years ago, of course, there was no COVID pandemic. I had 35 kids in the program. So the program's taken a hit because of the COVID pandemic or for other reasons. So as Coach Williams said and Coach Hines know, you build your program up in the offseason. You build them up during the summer. You build them up through the bonding, through the process. And then, of course, during the summer, learning your system, which has been a big thing because I'm a diehard man-to-man defensive guy. Every time a team scores on us, those kids know that it's a shot in my heart. So they better start believing on how to play defense, and that's what we got to learn. And hopefully it'll come in during the summer like these guys said during the offseason.
Absolutely, and I know that I've seen all of you guys play. You got some terrific freshmen. And speaking of what you talk about with defense and how important it is to you, we all everybody wants to win that conference tournament. That's kind of like that first catapult into the postseason. And even though all of the teams are going to make the postseason, you want to be on that top line and give yourself the best opportunity to be successful. What do you think is going to be the key to winning the conference tournament this year? Coach Tomasi, I'll start with you.
As you said, defense. If you could stop from Jenkins, you can stop Wall, you can stop Williams and Floyd, you got a shot. You go to New Hampshire, you can stop Smart and Walsh, you got a shot. You go to BC, you can stop Broadnex and Maynard, you got a shot. You got to stop these teams from doing what they want to do, and that's been a struggle for us. I'll be honest with you. New Hampstead, it's very hard to match up. He's got some men on that team. He's got some big boys, and it's hard to match up with those big boys. Then you go over to Jenkins, they can flat out fly. They get up and down the court like you wouldn't believe it. And then, of course, BC, you got Trent Broadnex and Maynard. I do apologize, forgot his first name. But Trent Broadnex, Division I football player. He could be a Division I basketball player if he put his mind to it, but he changed the switch, and he wants to be a football player now. So, and he's got those basketball genes in his blood. You got to play defense. And whoever plays the best defense in the next 2 days, Wednesday and Friday, will be your region champion.
Absolutely. Coach Hines, what do you think?
I have to agree with Coach Tomasi. It's all about how you control the game. I mean, you have to control these guys. Like he said, with New Hampshire, you got to find a way to keep Smart away from the boards. You know, those 2 giants they got down there. I call them it reminds me of the old San Antonio team with with David Robinson and Tim Duncan. You got to find a way to stop them. And you got your Tony Parker with Walls, with VC Bronix. You got to keep somebody in front of him. He's a grown man out there on the court. And then with Islands, Jerem, you got Gabriel, Raymond Gabriel's grandson. That kid there is, I mean, he could flat out play. you can find out play. Cave, I met Cave. I've been knowing Cave, the Cave family for a long time, and them boys can shoot the ball. You cannot get no room. When we first played them, I told my players, I said, Cave on the team. We cannot let this kid shoot. We cannot let this kid shoot because I know what he can do. But again, it's who control the second half of the game and who can sustain a run over the next week will be the region champion.
Absolutely. Coach Williams, how about you?
I feel the same way. Each team, brings their different problems and different issues. Coach Hines is talking about the old San Antonio team. I wish there was a real comparison because then I wouldn't be so worried going into the tournament. But I just feel like every team presents a different problem. I think that just from my experience with going into region play, man, I've been in a couple of different positions. I've been the 1 seed to go in and actually win it. I've been the 1 seed and go in and slide down to a 4 seed, but then end up getting the state playoffs, making a run. I think it's just all about this time of the year, really talking to your team about mental toughness. In the position that we're in, of course, we have a game tonight, don't know the outcome, but, we're in a position where we're going to have to beat, Islands for a third time if we're going to advance to the championship game. Then possibly, get into the championship game and beat another team for the third time. So just talking to my team about being mentally tough because nobody cares about your record right now. Like I said, I've been 21-4, 12-0 region champs and get beat in the first round of state playoffs. So at this point, it's just about trying to talk to your kids about mental toughness and of course being physically tough on defense. But I think that being mentally tough is on the defensive end as well as the offensive end. Running your sets, make sure you don't lose that shooter for that split second, making sure you bump that cutter coming through. Just being mentally tough as possible is what, we've been preaching to our kids, because if you don't, you only got really 3 guaranteed practices left, really 2, with 3 going into the state playoffs.
Absolutely. And I think from an outside coach's perspective looking in, and I've had a chance to see and scout all of your teams, I think it's going to come down, especially in such an intimate region, who has the best curveball, who has the best changeup from what they do. I personally think when I look at Islands, a lot of your success, when Adams is having success, you guys are having success, and I think he just has that energetic, that infectious personality that when he gets going, Islands gets going. I think that for New Hampstead, it starts inside. When the guards understand that it probably should be an inside-out game and not an outside-in game, you guys have a lot more success. But it's hard to tell guards to get a ball up sometimes. And then everything with Jenkins, I think it's amoeba basketball for you guys. You don't have a legitimate point guard. You don't have a legitimate big man that you can just throw it in, but you have a bunch of guys who can score in a myriad of ways. And I think that helps you to kind of be able to adjust and flow as the game goes. You're fast, you're athletic. Probably one of the best inside scorers in Savannah is Jarrell Floyd, and he's the skinniest, most like unassuming kid you're going to see, and most of his baskets come from point blank range. So when you see those different dynamics, it's who's going to be able to make that adjustment, because we all know what you do well. Who's going to be able to make that adjustment on the back end? Coaches, I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you joining us. I'm looking forward to covering the games this week. I have a lot of hope for Savannah and what you're going to do outside of just conference play, but it's time to get to work. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to come out on Friday night when this thing all shakes out. So again, Coach Demasi, Coach Hines, Coach Williams, thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate you. We wish you nothing but health and success as you go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
All right, good luck, Coach.
And good luck to everyone. And thank you for joining us once again. I've been Coach Gene Clemens. We will see you all next time. Have a great one.